Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Modern Woodcarver podcast. I'm your host, Michael, and today I'm really excited to share with you a guest who is an amazing woodcarver, and he's known for carving spoons, specifically romantic love spoons, which is something I've never heard of. So I'm really excited to dive in and learn more about it. Our guest is Bob Tinsley. He's most active on Facebook and Instagram, and you should definitely check out his work. You won't be disappointed. Bob, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being on.
Yeah, so I love your work. I think it's really amazing, and I, I I do like spoons. I'm not a fan of carving them myself, but I appreciate when I see a good carved spoon. And all your spoons are carved beautifully and with intricate designs and details. And yeah,
Thank you.
I'm just kind of excited to learn more.
Well, I'll tell you whatever I can.
So let's start with how did you get started in carving?
I got started I got my first pocket knife when I was 8. Uh, my dad was a carver. He carved animals, um, alligators, donkeys, dogs, birds, whatever struck his fancy. And he taught me how to sharpen. And I carved some when I was a teenager, and then I graduated high school and went to college, and then came about a 40-year hiatus of no carving. And then in the early 2000s, I started to get back into it. I started out with I got a book by Harley Refsel, that carving Scandinavian flat plane figures, and I got into that for a little while, and then I did some other figure work with cowboys and that sort of thing. And then I ran across a book by David Western, who is a Welshman living in Victoria, British Columbia at the moment. He specializes in Welsh love spoons. In fact, he's been to, I don't know, St. Fagan's uh, Museum in Cardiff, Wales has, I think, the biggest collection of Welsh love spoons in the world. He's gone in there and he's studied those spoons there, and he's written at this point three books on it. So I got involved in that. Um, it's a funny story. I got his book and I started carving one of the designs he had in his book, and I got it done, and I thought it was pretty good, so I put it on my Etsy store. And few days later, I got this email from him. It said, you did a real good job on my spoon, but I want you to take it off your store. He said, it's my
Oh
design.
wow.
You can give it to anybody you want, but I don't want you making money off of my design. I said, okay, fine, whatever. So I took it off, and then I started writing him and asking him questions, and he started writing and answering me back. And we developed into a pretty good friendship over the years. And we still, in fact, he's the one that got me started on the Norwegian low spoons as well. And that's kind of my journey in a nutshell.
That's really cool. It's an interesting story too, and I like the fact that it started with your dad carving and onto you. Is that something you passed on to your kids if you have kids?
I've got one daughter, but she's an artist. She designs jewelry, so she's not much interested in
Okay.
carving.
It's still within the same
Yeah,
scope of
yeah,
designing and everything.
she produces 3D objects that are very, very pretty.
Yeah, really cool. So what is it about spoons that just kinda draws you to them?
It started with like I said, it started with the Welsh love spoons. Tradition goes that in rural Wales, a young man who was looking to get married found a girl he was interested in, and after a little bit of relationship building, if he decided he wanted to marry her, he would carve her a love spoon and present it to her. And if she accepted it, that meant she was willing to marry him. Now, that may be apocryphal. There's no real documentation that that's true, but that's the oral history of it. And some of them got pretty ornate, because the more ornate it was, the more the boy was showing off his skill at getting things done, at making things, at providing for his family. So it made him look better to the girls.
That's interesting.
That got me involved with I thought that was pretty cool. The romantic aspect of it. And it just kind of grew from there. There's all over Europe, say Western and Northern Europe, there are traditions of romantic spoons. Brittany in Spain, they have wedding spoons that are a little different from most, because the wedding spoon is something that you would take to a Breton wedding to eat with, but it would be very highly
Hmm.
decorated. Most of them fold flat like this, and you put it in your breast pocket, and with the top sticking out of it, so to sort of show off your status. And then when you got to the Breton weddings were huge. They're 200 people or more, and you brought your own eating utensils with you. And then
That's so crazy. Never would have thought there was so much behind spoons in the history. Like all this kind of weird lore behind it of romanticism and weddings, and
mhm.
it is kind of cool though.
Yeah, there's also love spoons from the alpine areas of Europe. The shepherds out there had a lot of time on their hands, so they'd go up and they'd carve spoons. And then in Northern Europe, the Scandinavian countries, uh, let's put it this way, that the earliest Welsh love spoon that's dated is dated 1645.
Wow.
And then the Norwegians and the Swedes and the Danish also had a similar uh, tradition, and the earliest Norwegian stated love spoon that I have found was dated 1735, if I remember correctly.
Jeez.
And so it's been going on a long time. And
Yeah, that's
I have this pet theory going on that during the Viking Age, from about 800 to 1100, the Vikings invaded and settled most of Ireland, and got particularly cozy in the northwest portion of Wales. They settled there, they integrated with the population, and so I have this little pet theory that through that interaction between the Norse and the Welsh, that translated up into the northern regions, into Norway itself, and the two traditions kind of merged into one. Now that's total blatant speculation on my part, but I like the story.
that's a good theory. I could buy that.
And
Uh,
I have seen wedding spoons in Norwegian museums that look almost exactly like Welsh love spoons.
hmm.
Now, they're later 19th century vintage, which there could have been some cross pollination there as well. still, it's interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if there's a significant difference between the Welsh and the Norwegian and the Swedish and what other, type of spoons there are. Like, is there subtle design differences? Are they all kinda quite similar?
Now they're pretty different, and as are the traditions. The Swedes, um, they use the spoons as courting spoons rather than as wedding spoons. The uh, the Swedes earlier in the before times, shall we say, the separation between sexes in the teenage and lower years was pretty strict. There was during the summer, the boys would be working on the farm and doing all that stuff, and the girls would be up in the mountains, uh, spinning thread and yarns and things. But every Sunday afternoon, there would be at the church a get together for the young people. And while the boys were doing their thing, they'd be carving little spoons, and then the girls were doing their thing. They'd be uh, spinning thread and that sort of thing, and all kinds of different colors. And they would make what was called a thread doll, and basically it was just a bundle of very colored threads that had a wrap around it, and kind of a little head and a skirt. And the saying at the time was that the girls would say, "You give me a spoon, and I'll give you a thread." So the boys would come in with after having carved a spoon, and they'd put it in their breast pocket so that the top was sticking out. And uh, if they caught a girl's eye and she saw it and she liked it, she'd come over and they'd swap. And that could go on for a long time as the spoons got more ornate, and until they were basically engagement spoons. And
Wow.
so that's where that went. And let's see, I've got this is kind of
There's definitely very rich history with it.
oh yeah, this is
Oh,
kind
that's
of
cool
a
looking.
courting spoon, a little more ornate. This would be more of an engagement spoon. Um,
Yeah, I
and
was gonna say that looks a little too detailed to
mhm.
just say hello,
And there's a design coal roast into the bowl. Most of them did have coal roasting designs in the bowls, and
Now can you explain what that is?
yeah, that is a basically you take the tip of your knife, you draw a design on the wood. You take the tip of your knife and you just cut along the pencil line. You don't remove any wood.
Mhm.
You just leave an opening, an open French behind, as it were.
Okay.
And then once you've got the design finished, you uh, put a little coat of oil on it to seal it. Then you rub a coloring agent into it. Like I use cinnamon and a finely ground cinnamon.
Gotcha.
You rub it in, and it gets into those cuts, and it provides the design with color. And
Oh,
then
that's really cool.
once you oil it, it gets really dark and really visible. And then you burnish it to close off the cuts. And those coal roasting designs last pretty much forever.
That's a really cool technique. It's almost like you know, eh, like a sgraffito type of pattern that you would see on picture frames or other type of work where they'll etch these designs into it. But the cinnamon is kind of interesting. I wouldn't that go rancid or
No,
kind
cinnamon is
of
cinnamon is
disappear
basically
after a while?
cinnamon is basically tree bark, so it doesn't.
Okay, that's true. So you cut the pattern with just the tip of your knife, leaving
Mm-hmm.
like a slit in the wood.
Yep.
You oil it first,
Yeah, the
and
oil
then you
the
put
oil color
cinnamon in.
keeps the coloring agent from getting ground into the wood fibers, so it seals it. And then
Okay.
and then you
And then
then you add
after
the
the
color.
cinnamon, you re-oil it?
And you re-oil it. You burnish it to close the cuts, and then you oil it again.
And what are you burnishing it with?
I use a piece of mesquite, just a piece of
Oh,
mesquite
okay.
wood. People use antler.
Oh, wow.
Some people use an acrylic rod. Some people use the back of their knife. Other people use the back of metal spoons.
Very interesting.
And there's another
Yeah,
good
that's
story.
cool.
Yeah, there's another good story about that. That's in the 1600s, a little bit before that, the nobles, the gentry, began giving silver spoons as engagement gifts. And it wasn't long after that that you started to see those engagement gifts showing up in the rural areas. The rural areas couldn't afford silver, but they could afford wood. So
Mhm.
that's kind of where that whole thing came from. The peasants saw the nobles doing that, and they thought, that sounds like a pretty good idea. Let's try that.
Sounds about right. Using wood as the cheaper alternative.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm really kind of blown away by how much like lore and history is behind spoons, specifically these love spoons. Because like I mentioned before, I've never heard of romantic spoons. I think I've heard the term love spoon before, but I never really thought much of it. I thought maybe it was just because it had a heart on the end of it, or a simple design, like a
Mhm.
rose or something.
Yeah.
But I never really put much thought or effort into spoons, and um, I've carved spoons, basic ones. I just never they're not my, I don't
Yeah.
know. They're not that fun for me because, my spoon gouge is never sharpened properly. I don't know how to keep it maintained, and, they take a lot of time and effort, the spoons,
They do
like
take a
a
lot of
lot
time.
of lot of work.
Yeah. Um, this is my tour de force Welsh love spoon. That
Wow, that's
took
really cool.
that took just under 60 hours to do.
Wow, and how big is that?
That is about 12 inches long and about 4 inches wide. And I've got the
Interesting.
two.
Now for those listening, it's a giant spoon with a lot of scroll work detail in it. And what kind of wood is that?
This is poplar.
Poplar. Okay.
Most of my romantic spoons are poplar. And I'll tell you
Now are you
that
using all
filigree up at the top was a bear.
a bear? And did it break off, or
Oh,
yeah, it's a little hard to see. I see it.
that's
You gotta
on
center
purpose.
it in the.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
Wow,
on
that's
purpose.
that's a really tiny, cool looking bear.
And that was all done with a drill and a knife.
A
Most
drill and a
most
knife.
people,
Wow.
and that's all of these piercings are done with a drill and a knife. Uh,
See, I would have sworn it was done with a scroll saw
Dave
with
Western
the
uses a
amount of
scroll saw,
detail.
and he tells me that I am barking mad to do it the way I do it. But
Yeah, yeah,
I
I
like
agree with him.
I like doing it. And
Yeah, I mean, to get that kind of detail with just a knife, internally, and that must be time consuming.
yep. Well, like I said, this one took me almost 60 hours.
Jeez. Now, are you using just a standard whittling knife, or what kind of tools are you working with?
I have most the most of my knives are from Pinewood Forge, Bill Stubbs. He's
Okay.
retired now, so he doesn't make them anymore. But I got started with his knives when I was doing Swedish flat plane carving, character carving like Harvey Refsel, because he had a couple of uh, what he called Harley knives that were made for Harley, and they were basically a Mora. Mora is a Swedish brand of knife, which I use a lot too. It was basically a Mora that he had reprofiled and narrowed the angle on to the point where it would slice like nobody's business. And then I
Wow.
got into his spoon carving knives. In fact, I think I have one of almost every knife he ever made. But the one that does all of the little piercings and things is what he called a skinny sloyd. It didn't he
Hmm.
didn't make very many of them because they weren't very popular. But I got one as soon it was out. It's about blade's about 4 inches long, and it's about uh, 3/16 of an inch thick. It's a very stiff blade. It's only about 3/8 of an inch from spine to edge, and it goes up to a very sharp point. And it's very
Hmm.
stiff. And that is what I use to get into those tight spaces. And
Interesting.
I've got his I've got his spoon knives. I've got three of those of uh, different curvatures, and I've got his Sloyd knives. The Sloyd knife is the basic, just the basic. Well, I think I've got this is a Mora.
Yeah, those.
Let's see if I can get it in here. That's a Mora,
Yeah.
and that's a Sloyd knife.
Hmm.
So I've got his Sloyd knives. I've got two sizes of his plus the little one, and I use Mora knives a lot uh, because they're very well made. They're top quality knives, top quality steel for a very reasonable price. They're cheaper than the flex cut.
Yeah, I've heard good things about Morin knives, and I know they're quite popular.
Yeah, I
I'm
use
not a big fan of the Sloyd style. I
uh
have a couple, and they're just not for me. I know people use them and great success. Yeah, I don't love them.
yeah. Well, I've used them for everything. In fact, I told you I got on the figure carving kick,
Yeah,
and about in 2001, I decided I wanted to learn how to carve female faces. So I
that's what I'm on the journey right now.
so I s- I got I said, okay, I'm going to carve 26 female faces, one for each letter of the alphabet, and I'm going to do it in found wood in branches. And so I did. So this is one of them.
Oh wow, wow, that's beautiful. I like how you left that tree. Can you center it a little more?
There we go.
Yeah,
See if I can get out of the way. So
I like how you left the tree bark above her head and below it, and you really brought that face deep in. There's very good depth on that,
yeah,
and with
I
the
go
open
on.
mouth too. That's
And see,
not an easy feat.
there's another one that I did.
Oh, that one's cool too.
I when I
And
do
what kind of wood is that?
that is mesquite, which is
Mesquite.
not the best for doing figure carvings because it's darker, but it's what I had,
Yeah.
so it's what I used. And I
Is it
did all of these
relatively
with the
easy to
sled knife.
carve?
Huh? It's hard to carve, yes.
Is it relative?
It's it,
It's hard to
it's
carve. Okay.
it's harder to carve than rosewood.
Oh wow. I mean, rosewood is pretty hard.
Yeah. And that's that's basically why I used the slide knives because most what you would call the straight edge knives that you get for uh, won't hold up. The edge won't hold up to that kind of
Yeah,
thing, but a Sloyd knife
yeah, that
will
makes
do very
sense.
nicely.
Interesting. Yeah, I have one Sloyd knife and by a beautiful it's a very beautiful knife, and it's made by an independent knife maker in the UK. He goes by Ash and Axe,
Yeah, I
and I
know.
love the knife. Yeah, I mean his knives are beautiful. He puts a lot of work into them, and they're really nice, well-made knives. Uh, and I'm so upset because I love the knife. I just don't like Sloyd knives. I learned that after the fact when I bought it, and I just like I thought I would, like it, and so I have it, and occasionally I'll use it from time to time just because it is a nice knife, and I do want to use it. But I just, yeah,
It
maybe
takes
if
a
I
little,
try a harder wood.
yeah, it takes a little different technique than with a straight edge knife because you've got to be
Yeah,
aware. Yeah, you've got to be aware of where the curves are on the edge
mhm,
because if you're not, you think you're going to be cutting with the tip of the blade and you're actually cutting about an inch back from the tip of the blade. So you because of the curvature.
exactly.
So you've got to
Yeah,
keep that, and you go into. I feel a lot about straight edge knives generally the way you feel about Sloyd knives,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's all in what you're used to.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I got my start with straight knives, so I guess you kind of tend to favor what you start with,
Yeah, because I got my
and
start with pocket knives, and most you've got two curved blades and one straight blade, and you use the curved blades more than you use the straight blade.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I would like to use it more often. I just never seem to find the right application. I do use it on bigger things occasionally when I'm doing a bigger piece. I find that having that curved, blade helps slice through the wood and remove a good amount of material. But I very rarely work on larger scale pieces, mostly because I'm on the go. I carve outside or out at work or, on my lunch break or something.
Yeah,
So I can't carry around this big block of wood with me. Um,
that's where spoon carving comes in. You can always stick a branch in your pocket and go for it.
yeah, yeah. I've carved a bunch of spoons, but mostly like cooking spoons. Like to stir your eggs or in sauce or whatever. But nothing with ornate detailing. And I mean, I kind of would like to try it now that I'm seeing some of your stuff and some other spoon carvers out there.
Yeah, I'll show you. I did this one out of mesquite. It's basically a teaspoon,
Yeah, that's very nice.
and
I like the shape to it. That scooped
hmm yeah, you
like
get
ladle type shape.
it's uh it's a lot of fun doing these,
Yeah.
and
Now,
the
how are
colors
you
are.
carving out the bowl?
Hmm? I use a spoon carving knife, which is a bent knife. It's got a curvature to it, and
Yeah.
you just take it and hollow it out.
Any tips on maintaining the blade and keeping it sharp? Because that's where my spoon carving knife fell flat. I
Yeah.
think it's a brand of knife that I don't particularly like.
What
So I
brand is
think
it?
the steel on it is not that great. I hate to say it, but Beavercraft.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It a lot depends on the manufacturer. Like
Yeah.
I'm kind of a knife steel nerd, and
Sure.
the Pinewood Forge knives were made from '01 tool steel, and the Mora knives are made from Sandvik. They've Mora has three types of steel for their blades. They've got just a straight carbon steel. They've got a laminated carbon steel blade, which is you've got an inner layer. You've got a three-layer blade. The two outer layers are a softer, more tough uh, type of steel, and the inner layer is a very hard, very uh, hard edge holding type of steel, so that you get the toughness along with the edge retention. And then they make
Okay.
a knife in Sandvik stainless, which is also a very good steel. And it actually, there's all kinds of arguments in the knife world about how carbon steel is better than stainless steel, and that's 40 years ago that was true. Not true anymore. Basically, it all comes down to the heat treatment that the steel gets in the factory. With a good heat
Makes
treatment, you
sense.
can use a lower quality steel and still get a good knife. But I can't recommend Mora enough. They're Let's see, you can get a basic wood carving Mora knife for under $20, and it is a
Oh, okay.
stellar knife. It was very similar to the one that I showed you. It has a composition handle. The other knives have birch handles, and
Okay.
but anything by Mora
Does
is money.
Mora makes a spoon gouge or a
Yep,
hook knife?
Mora makes spoon gouges, and again, they have three different curvatures. They've got one that's kind of trying to get it curls up around like that.
Yeah.
So you've got a long
Yeah, like
straight,
a question mark.
yeah, you've got kind of a straight, very gentle curve, and then you've got a quick curve like here, and that lets you get down in, and uh, that's the roughing knife. And then they've got a
Hmm.
couple with more gentle curves in them that are more like the bottom of a boat, but just some are steeper and some are,
I've seen those.
yeah.
Yeah.
And those are finishing knives. And
Gotcha. Now, are you carving the wood green or are you carving it dry?
the decorative spoons I do, the love spoons and the wedding spoons, I use seasoned lumber because it needs to be
Okay.
dimensionally stable.
Yeah.
If I'm doing just
Because after you carve green wood, it can warp around a little bit
right,
on you, crack and
hmm for my eating spoons and cooking spoons and things like that, I use as green as I can get. Sometimes I can't get, I don't feel real good about going out and lopping a limb off a tree just so I can carve a spoon. So if I go out after a storm
yeah.
and find a broken off branch, I'll take that and I'll use that as green as it is. But mostly I go out and I'll find wood that's on the ground that's been on the ground for sometimes years, and I use that too.
And I guess, I mean, I'm assuming it's more enjoyable to carve a greenwood uh, spoon than it is
Uh,
the dried lumber.
Not really, not that much. In fact,
No.
I like carving seasoned wood better than I do green because I know how the seasoned wood is going to react. Um,
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
and it's just again preference. I've been carving mesquite wood since I was a kid, so the hardness doesn't bother me. I grew up in Central Texas, and uh, mesquite was what you had. Mesquite
Yeah, you're used
cottonwood.
to that.
I The cottonwood wasn't very pretty when the mesquite was, so I used the mesquite.
Interesting, because cottonwood is a pretty big favorite for carving.
Yeah,
Um,
it is.
and I guess people like the beauty of it. and I do too. I mean, I've only carved one cottonwood piece, and I love it. In fact, I ordered a bunch more. I'm waiting on it to get here. All right, we had a little bit of technical issues yesterday, and it is now the next day, and we are resuming our discussion on the romantic spoons, Norwegian wedding spoons. That's right,
Mhm.
and Welsh and what other Swiss wedding spoons.
There was the Welsh love spoon, the Norwegian wedding spoon, the Swedish courting spoon, the Breton wedding spoon, which is kind of a different deal, but it's still called a wedding spoon and is still highly carved. So
Mhm.
that's kind of the
Now,
thing.
what is your specialty? I mean, I know you kind of like all of them, but is there one that you're geared towards most or that you gravitate towards?
I gravitate more recently towards the Norwegian spoons because there's such a wide variety of them. Uh, they have all sorts of forms and shapes. Um, the tradition for the Norwegian wedding spoon, it came from the Hallingdal Valley in Buskerud County in Norway, which is just to the east of Oslo. And that's the thing about wedding spoons, love spoons, et cetera, et cetera. There's really no national tradition for it. They're all regional. The Welsh love spoon is in the south and west of Wales. Uh, the Swedish spoons are in kind of the outside of Stockholm in that area. And the Norwegian wedding spoons are in the Hallingdal Valley region. And I run across Norwegians all the time that say, "What's a wedding spoon?" Because they're from the far north or the far south. And the tradition is that the wedding spoon is used for the couple to feed each other during the final wedding feast on a 3-day wedding. Uh, if you look right up there, you can see a couple of spoons on the wall that are joined by chain. Um, they each one of them takes a spoon and they eat the wedding porridge because it's porridge. It's because it's a big wedding. There are lots of people. The menu is somewhat
Mhm.
limited to what the
Sure.
peasantry can afford. So it's porridge and it's very rich. It's got a lot of fat in it, butter, cream, uh, things like that. And they each one of them takes a spoon and eats from the porridge bowl with it to symbolize their joining. And the again, this is speculation. There's not really any written because there's very little written about any of these things. That the
Hmm.
chain between the two symbolizes the new bond between the husband and wife. And then once the wedding's over, they take the spoons home and they hang it over their door.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, the I know the tradition goes back at least until the early 1700s, if not sooner than that. Like I was talking about yesterday, I like to think there's a Viking connection in there between the the Norwegians and the Welsh love spoons, but again, that's total speculation. But it's a good story. And once you get into that, There are just so many different spoons and so many different designs. I've seen one wedding spoon that had 9 chains on it. There was one spoon, and it was pretty bulky, but it had 9 chains on it, and I can't imagine carving 9 chains that are, I'm guessing, probably 12 to 14 inches long
Yeah,
for one
that's
thing.
wild.
Yeah,
Now, as far as you know, I mean, based on the lore or the stories revolving around it, um, does more chains signify something, or is it just for the pure decorative challenge aspect of it?
I tend to think it was just for the pure decorative challenge of it, but, I've
Okay.
got some other theories. You know, this spoon, that I carved has 3 chains on it, and, I like to think of it showing the connection between the husband's family, the wife's family, and God.
Okay.
But again,
That's a
that's
cool
just me.
little.
That's what I like to think of it as.
Yeah. Now, for those who don't know, I mean, you've mentioned to me you carve the chains and the spoon out of one solid block. Those chains aren't added on after the fact. You're carving
Japan.
them out of one
Yeah,
piece. It
on
depends.
the
Okay.
double spoons like this one up here on the wall, the chain is
Yeah.
carved separately. The chain is carved separately and added afterwards. On
Okay.
these, the, chains are carved as part of the spoon. Now,
Gotcha.
in the mid-1800s, family from the Hallingdal Valley by the name of Haugen, the family head was a very astute businessman, and at the time, there was a tourism boom in Europe, and he was looking for a way he could, build on that tourism boom and make money. Well, he decided he would do Norwegian wedding spoons and sell them in the tourist shops. Okay, but, it takes you a while to make one, so, that wouldn't be a big deal, and you could only get them to a few, but he decided to bring his whole family in on it, and, he had basically a production line going. The men of the family would carve the spoons, the women of the family would carve the chains, and then they'd, uh, put them together and, send them out to the tourist shops throughout southern, Norway. And that went on for up until the early 20th century when with the war and everything, tourism kinda died. But,
Mhm.
the, there were still a couple of Haugens, uh, active during the up until the mid-60s, and the one guy I know that's still in Norway, still carving these spoons, is a grandson of one of the Haugens. So
Wow.
they kind of made a real name for themselves.
Yeah, that's a rich history. I'm kind of curious to know if there's any like North American versions of these things. Did any of that spill over to here?
Well, the Norwegians kind of brought them with them when they came. But again, at that time, uh, they were immigrants. They didn't have a lot of money. The wedding spoons were the ones they had and they brought with them. There wasn't a lot of production in this country until,
Mhm.
I guess, Dave Western and I picked it up. And there are some amateurs out there that, like, not a pejorative amateur, but hobby carvers out there that still do them for their families and things like that. But as far as I know, Dave and I are the
Yeah,
only ones on the North American continent still doing that as a commercial venture.
yeah, yeah. I think it's really cool. You found like a very specific niche pocket in carving that, frankly, not a lot of people are doing or attempting to do. Um, and they really are incredibly beautiful. I mean, they're not only a functional piece, they're extremely decorative. And
Yeah.
like I see you have them all on your wall in the back there, and I'm sure you got spoons all over your house.
The decorative aspect of it really gets me going.
Yeah. Now, do you find that most of the people who um, request your spoons are they purely for the decorative aspect, or do they have some kind of functionality to them? Um,
They're
like what?
Most of the ones I have sold have been to people who want the traditional wedding spoon that their grandparents and great grandparents had for a wedding. I've gotten pictures uh, from weddings where they used my spoons,
Oh,
and
that's really sweet.
so that's really nice. But
Yeah.
that's what they use them for. They're used for the traditional purposes.
Yeah, that's a really nice thing, and I think it's cool that you're keeping a really old tradition alive. And yeah, I like hearing about that kind of stuff with these old traditions and history and these different cultures. Because I mean, we kind of learn about different cultures, but it's usually as like as a whole. You don't really find out much about the ins and outs of the small details of these cultural aspects, if that makes
Yeah.
any sense. Um,
Yep.
unless you're from a particular culture and you know that specific traditions and stuff, but you don't really hear much about anyone else's. So it is interesting to learn all that.
Yeah. I've spent a lot of time researching, and there isn't a lot of primary sources out there, and most of those are in Norwegian and Swedish. So I've been kind of making uh, Google translate my workhorse.
Putting it
Figure
to
out what's
work.
going on. So
Yeah.
that's been a lot of fun too.
Now, since you've been a carver for so many years and you've carved different types of styles, you've done the flat plane, you've done realism, you've done the spoons. Would the spoons be your favorite type of thing to carve
For now,
for now?
I tend to go long periods in one thing, and then I switch over to something else for a little while, and then I'll go back. And well, like I said, I've been carving spoons for a long time, and then in the middle of all of that, I decided to learn how to carve a female face. So I went and
Yeah.
did that for several months. Those 26 heads took me about 9 months to carve.
Yeah, I really like that idea of carving 26 faces for each letter of the alphabet. And I don't know if you did this, but I was thinking of trying to attempt that and actually naming them based on each letter.
Oh, I did. I did. In
Okay.
fact,
Yeah.
this one, yeah, this one is Saren, which is Welsh for star, and
It's a nice name.
this one is Fionn, and all 26 of them have names.
Are they all kind of Welsh,
Yeah, they're all Welsh
Norwegian
names.
type names? All
Yeah, they're
Welsh
all Welsh
names, yeah,
names.
because I haven't
I
heard
just
of either of those names.
yeah, except for a couple. The first one I carved was Annie Oakley. I
Okay.
just called her Annie Oakley because she was carved out of oak.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so, but then I kind of picked up. I was doing more Welsh love spoons at the time, so I decided I'd go with the Welsh names. And
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
I go between Welsh love spoons, regular eating cooking spoons, figures, Norwegian spoons, Scandinavian spoons, and back and forth as the
Hmm.
mood strikes me.
When I carve those, I don't know if you've seen it on my, social media. I carve these wood spirits,
Mhm.
similar styles with these, you know, animal hats on them, and I like to give them names. And on the bottom of this guy, his name is Chip Copperfield. So I like adding like a wood element and a metal element.
Yep,
I don't always do that, but this guy is named Eustace Willowthorn. So I
mm,
like keeping that that whimsy aspect of it. And
yeah. I name
yeah.
all of my Welsh love spoons. They've all
Wow,
got names.
that's I mean you got probably have thousands of names. Do
A
you
lot,
like
yeah.
do you
I do it
inscribe
in
them
Welsh.
on the spoon?
No, that's too much.
That's a little okay.
I just use
Got
it
to
in my
draw the line somewhere.
yep, I just use it in my promotions.
All right. And I know you were working on some, you use a specific type of tool to punch the holes in.
Right. Yes, I do. I use a drill to get the first hole in there, and most people would use a scroll saw. Dave Western uses a scroll saw, and I tease him about that. I call him Power Boy, and he calls me barking mad because
Yeah.
this
Well,
this is my
you're a
answer to the
traditionalist,
scroll
so
saw.
that's just a really thin blade.
Right. It's a very thin blade, and it's a fairly thick blade, and it's very stiff, which is what you need when you're
Yeah,
getting in there and trying to dig out all those little pieces of wood. And it is sharp
that's
as a
really cool.
serpent's tongue. Too.
Yeah, looks dangerous.
Yeah, it is. I've poked myself through my carving glove more than once with that.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Hopefully, no stitches.
No, not so far. I've cut myself a lot,
Yeah,
and usually it's a little super glue, pinch it together, go on about your business.
yeah, yeah. That's the way it goes.
Hmm. And I did this the old. I was doing a demo once, uh, and it was out on the street, and a couple came by with a kid, and I was working on a figure, and I was doing the cutting away from myself, and the mom said, "Look, see, he's doing it. He's not cutting toward himself." And whereupon I immediately turned the knife around, and start carving back towards me,
Start cutting.
which a carver does.
Yeah,
You can't
you
do
have
it.
to.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah,
You've just got
there's
to make
there's no way
sure
around it.
that there's something in the way that's going to hit before the blade does.
Yeah, yeah. There's. It's funny because always everyone always mentions make sure to carve away from yourself, and yeah, that's great advice. But in carving, you can't always
No,
do that.
no,
Yeah,
you can't.
sometimes it's more dangerous to do that in certain applications.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So, do you have any advice to people who want to get into spoon carving or even love spoon, is there a specific path they should follow, type of tool that you'd recommend, or just anything that you can think of?
Basically, I would say uh, get Dave Western's book on love spoon patterns. It's available from Amazon. It's what is that carving publishing company?
Fox Chapel?
Hmm?
Fox
Uh,
Chapel?
no, it's that the one that publishes Wood Carving Illustrated, and I can't remember the name, but it's published by that
Uh, it's Fox Chapel. Yeah.
Fox Chapel. Yeah, that's it. Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, I
Fox
have
is a
their
Fox Chapel book. He's got three out there. Two of them are dedicated to Welsh love spoons, and the other one is dedicated to. I think he's got like 100 different spoon patterns in there for
wow.
Welsh love spoons, Norwegian spoons, Scandinavian spoons, Alpine spoons, Breton spoons, and it's a great resource. And for tools, just get the best quality spoon carving knives you can get. Uh, like I said, the Mora and the Flex Cut are both top quality knives for a reasonable price. Uh, the ones made by the 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 custom makers are fine knives. Like you've got one, the Sloyd that
Hmm.
you said you couldn't
Yeah.
use. They're fine knives, but they're very expensive
Yes.
comparatively. So
Yeah.
stick with the flex cuts and the moras, and you won't go wrong. And
That's
practice,
awesome.
practice, 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 practice.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in practice. Just a little bit each day compounds over time.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, Don
yeah.
Mertz, who's one of the figure carvers that I followed that influenced me. He's the would-be carver, and he
Hmm.
says a would-be carver would be a carver if he would carve wood.
That's great.
So
Oh, that's really, really
just
cool.
pick up a knife and start carving.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, when after this episode comes out, you're gonna start seeing a lot more love spoons popping up.
I hope so. I really do. I would really like
Yeah.
to see this take off.
Yeah. You
That's
you might
why
even see
uh,
a couple from me.
yeah, cool. I
Yeah.
I do this because I want to promote the art.
Yeah. And that's what this is all about. This podcast and everything is just promoting what all of us do, whatever it is, if it's spoons or characters or
Hmm.
whatever. I just,
Yep.
want to hear about it all and showcase it all. So, yeah, that's great. All right, I think we should kind of wrap this one up.
All right.
If people want to find you online, what's the best way for them to do so? If they want to order something from you,
My Etsy store is theartofromance.etsy.com. I'll send you the links for everything. I am most
yeah,
active
I'll
on
include all that in the description.
yeah. I'll I'm most active on Facebook. I most often document in detail my process of carving on Facebook in my posts. So I have in the past taken all of those, consolidated them to one, and generated an ebook from them.
Oh, cool. That's great.
But yeah, that's that. My Facebook is under Robert Tinsley. Uh, Instagram is I think Romantic Spoons or something like that.
Yeah, for anyone who wants to follow, I'll include all your links in the description below. And I had a great time talking to you and learning about the history of these spoons and where they come from. And I mean, your knowledge on the subject is incredible, and I'm sure we can go on for a much longer amount of time.
Oh yeah,
Um, and
when I got
maybe
back last night, my wife said, "You talk too much, didn't you?"
no, that's what we want to hear. We want to hear the stories. So but yeah, Bob, I just wanted to thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time to do it. Your journey was fascinating, and I look forward to, talking to you again in the future.
Uh,
If you guys enjoyed this episode, please make sure to follow or subscribe to the Modern Woodcarver podcast. It goes a long way, and we'll see you in the next episode.